Pantry Pride Supermarket.
Get an edge on savings this week with the Eagle Edge.
In the 70s, many popular grocery stores filled our streets and neighborhoods, offering various food and household items. But as time passed, some of these beloved stores disappeared, leaving behind memories of shopping adventures and favorite snacks. These stores were more than just places to buy food. They were gathering spots where neighbors would bump into each other and catch up on the latest news. Although these grocery stores may be gone, their legacy lives on in the memories of those who shop there. So join us as we travel back in time and revisit 20 famous grocery stores in the 1970s that no longer exist. Number 1. The A&P, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company. The Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, affectionately known as A&P, was a prominent American chain of grocery stores from 1859 to 2015. During its heyday, from 1915 to 1975, A&P was the largest grocery retailer in the United States, and until 1965, the largest retailer of any kind in the country. A&P was more than just a grocery store. It was an iconic part of American culture, as recognizable as today's McDonald's or Google. At its peak in the 1940s, A&P captured 10% of total U.S. grocery spending. Founded by George Gilman in 1859 as Gilman & Company, A&P began as a small chain of retail tea and coffee stores in New York City. Over time, it expanded into a national mail-order business. After World War I, A&P continued to evolve. They added stores that offered meat and produce, becoming a one-stop shop for families. In 1930, A&P reached its zenith with 15,000 stores worldwide, making it the largest retailer globally. Nevertheless, financial troubles plagued A&P. It faced 2 bankruptcies, and despite its storied history, the company finally closed its last doors in 2015. A&P's legacy remains a symbol of innovation, affordability, and the changing landscape of American retail. Number 2. Pantry Pride. Pantry Pride, a once prominent grocery chain in the eastern United States, had a fascinating journey that spanned decades. Founded in the late 1920s by Samuel N. Friedland and his brother George I. Friedland, Pantry Pride initially operated under Reading Giant Quality Price Cutter. The Friedland brothers opened their first store in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. By 1957, the chain had 275 stores, and at its peak, it boasted over 500 stores nationwide. By the early 1970s, Food Fair had converted most of its stores to the Pantry Pride banner, and its popularity grew even further. Unfortunately, financial troubles plagued Pantry Pride. 1978 Food Fair fell victim to these challenges, leading to bankruptcy. Despite its storied history, Pantry Pride gradually disappeared from the grocery landscape. As the tale of Pantry Pride's rise and fall echoes throughout the aisles of retail history, did Alpha Beta's pioneering spirit and innovative approach to grocery shopping ensure its legacy endured, or Pantry Pride faded? Number 3. Alpha Beta. Alpha Beta, a trailblazing grocery chain in the southwestern United States, left an everlasting impact on the retail landscape. Before Alpha Beta became a store, it was a clever idea by brothers Albert and Hugh Gerard. They wanted to arrange groceries alphabetically in the store, making it easier to find items. In 1915, they tried this idea in their Triangle Grocerteria store. By 1917, the first official Alpha Beta store opened in Pomona, California. This new way of organizing groceries caught on quickly. Alpha Beta grew fast, reaching 7 stores within a year. In 1929, it was established officially as Alpha Beta Food Markets. They also started Alfie's Coffee Shops, named after the company, which later became Denny's Restaurants. In 1961, American stores bought Alpha Beta. It became part of Skaggs Drug Centers and was renamed Skaggs Alpha Beta. They expanded into selling electronics alongside groceries. In 1978, financial difficulties led to the bankruptcy of Food Fair, the parent company of Alpha Beta. This event triggered significant changes across the company's regional operations. In Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas, stores were rebranded as Jewel Osco. Meanwhile, Albertsons acquired several of the chain's other locations. In Southern California, the Alpha Beta name was gradually phased out, with many stores rebranded as Ralph's or Food for Less. By September of 1995, Alpha Beta had disappeared entirely. Despite its end, The company's innovative contributions to the grocery industry continue to be recognized. Number 4. Eagle Food Centers. Eagle Food Centers, a prominent Midwest grocery chain, left an enduring mark on the heartland of America through its storied history. Originating in 1893 with the Tenenbaum family's establishment of the precursor to Eagle's chain in Davenport, Iowa, alongside the Geifman family's launch of Eagle Cash and Carry, the company thrived, expanding its footprint and embracing the emerging self-service model in the 1930s. Ownership changed hands several times, notably in 1968, when Lucky Stores acquired Eagle, rebranding the stores as Eagle Discount Supermarkets. Despite initial success, financial struggles led to bankruptcy in 1978, ultimately resulting in store closures by 2003, marking the end of an era for Eagle Food Centers and its cherished community connections. Number 5. Skaggs Companies. Skaggs Companies emerged as a prominent figure, tracing its roots to its inception in 1915. This retail giant was the precursor to renowned American chains such as Safeway, Albertsons, Osco Drug, and Long's Drugs. Founded by Samuel M. Skaggs, the company's initial store, Skaggs Cash Store in American Falls, Idaho, operated solely on cash transactions and rapidly expanded with the assistance of his 5 brothers, reaching 191 stores by 1920. Marion Barton Skaggs, son of Samuel Skaggs, expanded the family's grocery business in Portland by acquiring 4 local stores, setting the stage for significant growth. By 1926, the Skaggs enterprise comprised 673 stores and merged with the Sam Selig Company, forming Safeway under Charles Merrill's guidance. This landmark move led to further expansion, including acquiring Pay and Take It stores in 1928. The Skaggs Companies evolved into American stores by the late 1970s, previously partnering with Albertsons to introduce combination food drug stores in 1969. However, by 1977 the partnership ended, leading Albertsons to separate and thrive, later acquiring Safeway. This marked the culmination of a journey with a modest cash-only store in Idaho. Despite the fading of the Skaggs name, its impact on the grocery industry remains significant. Number 6. Colonial Stores. Once a prominent grocery chain across the American South, Colonial Stores left an unerasable mark on the region's shopping landscape. The saga began with the David Pender Grocery Company, founded in 1900 in Norfolk, Virginia. By 1926, Pender's empire boasted 244 stores, employing over 1,500 people. Their average sales per store was a respectable $35,000. Colonial Stores soared, acquiring Alber's supermarkets and Stop & Shop companies in 1955. However, by the 1970s, most stores transitioned to the Big Star label. At its peak, Colonial Stores boasted over 500 stores across Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. A legacy of innovation and resilience, Colonial Stores may have faded, but its impact echoes through the aisles of grocery history. The memories of Colonial Stores' pioneering days reverberate throughout grocery history. But did Big Bear Stores, with its cherished legacy in Ohio and West Virginia, face a similar transition from prominence to obscurity? Number 7. Big Bear Stores. Big Bear Stores, a beloved chain in Ohio and West Virginia during the 1970s, sadly closed its doors in the early 2000s. Known for its wide selection and affordable prices, it was a favorite among many families for grocery needs. Founded in 1934, Big Bear grew steadily, expanding to over 100 stores by the 1980s. However, increased competition and financial struggles led to its decline. Despite efforts to revitalize the brand, including renovations and rebranding, the chain ultimately couldn't keep up with the changing grocery landscape. Many loyal customers reminisce about their shopping experiences at Big Bear, recalling the friendly staff and the excitement of finding great deals. While the stores may be gone, the memories linger on, a reminder of a bygone era in grocery shopping. Today, former Big Bear locations are a testament to its once thriving presence, now replaced by other retailers in the ever-evolving grocery industry. Number 8. Hill's Supermarkets. Hill's Supermarkets was a well-known name in the New York area during the 1970s, offering a variety of groceries to its customers. Notwithstanding its popularity, Hill's Supermarkets faced stiff competition from other regional grocery chains. The company struggled to maintain its market share as competitors offered more competitive prices and a more comprehensive selection of products. Eventually, Hill's Supermarkets was overtaken by these competitors and had to close its doors for good. While it may be gone, many people still fondly remember shopping at Hill's Supermarkets, reminiscing about the unique products they could find and the friendly atmosphere of the stores. Former Hill's Supermarkets locations, now replaced by other grocery stores, serve as reminders of the chain's once thriving presence in the New York area. Though it may no longer exist, Hill's Supermarkets left a lasting impression on those who shop there, shaping the grocery industry in the region for years to come. After the memories of Hill's Supermarkets' bustling aisles fade into nostalgia, did Food Fair, with its competitive prices and wide selection, face a fate similar to Hill's struggle against the changing tides of the grocery industry? Number 9. Food Fair. Food Fair, also recognized as Pantry Pride in certain areas, was a prominent grocery store chain during the 1970s. It was a favorite among many shoppers, offering various products and competitive prices. However, as the late 1970s and 1980s approached, Food Fair began to experience a decline. Factors such as increased competition, changing consumer preferences, and financial struggles contributed to its downfall. Despite efforts to revitalize the brand, including rebranding as Pantry Pride in some regions, the chain ultimately couldn't reverse its fortunes. Many loyal customers were saddened by the closure of their beloved Food Fair Pantry Pride stores. They remembered fondly the shopping experiences and the sense of community they provided. Former Food Fair locations now stand as reminders of the chain's once thriving presence, replaced by other grocery retailers. Although Food Fair may no longer be around, its legacy lives on in the memories of those who frequented its stores during its heyday. Number 10. Red Owl. Red Owl, a once thriving grocery store chain, impacted the Midwest immensely. Founded in 1922, it began as a coal company before venturing into the grocery business. Its original slogan was, "Be wise, burn Red Owl coal." The company's first store operated in Rochester, Minnesota, and soon, Red Owl stores dotted the upper Midwest, including a branch in Bismarck, North Dakota by 1927. Its distinctive logo set Red Owl apart, a wise-looking red owl perched atop the store's name. This iconic emblem became synonymous with community-focused shopping, and the chain's commitment to local neighborhoods endeared it to customers. However, as the years passed, Red Owl faced challenges. In the late 1950s, it expanded into the Chicago area, but eventually sold its Chicago operations to the National Tea Company in 1963. While the memories of Red Owl's community-focused ethos linger, did National Tea's widespread presence and commitment to local communities evoke a similar sense of nostalgia? Number 11. National Tea. National Tea, a grocery chain that once held sway across the Midwest, left an indelible mark on American shopping history. Founded in 1899 by Danish immigrant George S. Rasmussen in Chicago, Illinois, it began a modest venture with about 160 stores. By the end of the 1920s, National Tea had blossomed into a retail powerhouse, boasting over 600 locations in the Chicago area alone and another 1,000 stores nationwide. Annual sales approached a staggering $90 million. Its widespread presence and commitment to serving local communities set National Tea apart. Shoppers relied on its aisles for everyday essentials, from fresh produce to pantry staples. The chain's iconic red and white signage became a familiar sight in neighborhoods across the Midwest. However, as the decades unfolded, National Tea faced challenges. During the 1950s, it expanded aggressively, acquiring smaller chains and adding about 500 new stores to its portfolio. Yet the winds of change were blowing. In 1955, the Canadian grocery giant George Weston Limited, later renamed Loblaw Companies, acquired National Tea when its annual sales had soared to $600 million. The acquisition marked a turning point. National Tea's decline began in the 1990s. It struggled to adapt to shifting consumer preferences and increased competition. In 1995, Schnucks Markets acquired National Tea from Loblaw Companies. The once dominant chain gradually faded away. Number 12. Gemco. Gemco, a once vibrant chain of membership department stores, etched its legacy into American retail history. Established in Anaheim, California in October of 1959, Gemco initially operated as a coal company before transitioning into the grocery business. A year later, Lucky Stores acquired Gemco, infusing it with supermarket offerings and transforming it into a thriving chain. Gemco's distinct feature was its commitment to one-stop shopping, a precursor to today's hypermarkets. Shoppers could find everything from garden supplies to groceries alongside regular department store items. But fate took a turn. In the 1980s, Gemco faced a series of unsuccessful takeover attempts. Its parent company, Lucky Stores, liquidated Gemco entirely to thwart hostile takeovers. From September of 1986 to November of 1986, the once bustling stores gradually faded away. However, their legacy lived on. Target stepped in, acquiring many former Gemco locations and remodeling them into the iconic red and white Target stores we all know today. Gemco's name, colors, and logo, never an acronym, became part of retail nostalgia. The wise old owl of Gemco watched over generations of shoppers, offering convenience and community spirit. Number 13. Fazio's. Fazio's, a once prominent supermarket chain in Southern California, etched its name into the annals of retail history. Shopping Bag Food Stores, as it was also known, began its journey in 1930 as a humble grocery store on Wilshire Boulevard, Los Angeles. 3 years later, they unveiled their first full-fledged supermarket, and by 1954, the company had gone public. What set Fazio's apart was its commitment to convenience. Shoppers flocked to its aisles for everyday necessities, from fresh produce to pantry staples. The chain's growth was steady but faced fierce competition in the bustling Southern California market. Fazio's continued its expansion. In 1968, it made its first foray outside Ohio by acquiring Dominick's, an 18-store chain in Chicago. But by the 1990s, Fazio's faced an uphill battle. Changing consumer preferences and market dynamics led to its decline. The memories of Fazio's convenience and Furr's community linger, but did these once prominent supermarket chains face similar shifts in consumer preferences and market dynamics? Number 14. Furr's. Furr's, a once prominent supermarket chain, left an enduring symbol on the retail landscape of Texas and New Mexico. Founded in 1904 by C.W. Furr, it began as a modest grocery store in Amarillo, Texas. However, Roy Furr, who joined the company in 1923, propelled its expansion. By 1929, the Furr family embarked on a grocery store spree, eventually venturing into New Mexico. Their commitment to convenience and community endeared them to shoppers. However, the retail industry experienced change. In 1980, Kmart Corporation acquired Furr's, and later in 1988, it changed hands again, this time to Michael Levinson's Limited National Partnership. Despite these transitions, Furr's continued to evolve. It transitioned into a cafeteria-style dining chain, offering more than just groceries. The once bustling aisles now echoed with the clatter of trays and the aroma of hot meals. Now, Furr's lives on in nostalgia, a reminder of an era when grocery stores were more than mere shopping destinations. Number 15. Hecht's. Hecht's, a regional grocery and department store, once graced the retail landscape, but eventually faded into history. Founded in 1959 by Boone County natives and business people Fred Haddad, Tom Ellis, Lester Ellis, and Douglas Cook, Hecht's was more than just a store. It was a hub of community life. The name was a clever amalgamation of their surnames, Haddad, Ellis, and Cook. Hecht's stores were discount, standalone department stores scattered across small cities in West Virginia, Western Maryland, the Ohio Valley, and parts of Indiana, Kentucky, and North Carolina. However, by the late 1990s, Hecht faced tough competition from larger chains and struggled to keep up. Despite attempts to revitalize the brand, including a brief stint as part of the Big Bear chain, Hecht's eventually succumbed to financial pressures and closed its doors for good. Number 16. QFI, Quality Food Incorporated. QFI, or Quality Food Incorporated, was a beloved grocery chain in the Pacific Northwest during the 1970s. Known for its commitment to quality and fresh products, QFI quickly became a favorite among regional shoppers. Its friendly service and wide selection of goods carved out a niche in the competitive grocery market. Nevertheless, QFI eventually faced challenges that led to its decline. As larger grocery enterprises expanded their reach, QFI found competing challenging. Unable to keep up with the industry's changing landscape, QFI was eventually absorbed by other grocery chains. While its name may have faded into obscurity, the memories of shopping at QFI remain vivid for many who grew up in the Pacific Northwest during that time. Its legacy lives on in the hearts of those who fondly recall the days of browsing the aisles and discovering new and delicious foods at QFI. Number 17, Value Mart. Value Mart, a venture initiated by retail giant Sears, aimed to make its mark in the grocery business. Founded in the 1950s, Value Mart had humble beginnings in Seattle. Its parent company was Weisfeld's Jewelers, an unexpected pairing of jewelry and groceries. Leveraging its strong brand reputation and widespread presence, Sears aimed to offer customers a convenient shopping experience by combining groceries with its other offerings. Value Mart stores were designed to provide shoppers with a one-stop destination for all their needs, from clothing to appliance to groceries. However, despite Sears' best efforts, Value Mart struggled to gain traction in the competitive grocery market. The venture faced challenges such as stiff competition from established grocery chains and logistical issues managing a diverse range of products. Ultimately, Value Mart failed to establish itself as a significant player in the grocery industry and ceased operations by the end of the 1970s. As Value Mart's ambitious foray into the grocery business fades into memory, did Lucky Stores encounter similar changes, navigating the evolving landscape of the supermarket industry. Number 18, Lucky Stores. Lucky Stores, founded in 1935 by Charles Crouch as Peninsula Stores Limited, once graced the American supermarket scene. Lucky grew into a beloved chain known for its affordable prices and wide selection of goods. Lucky Stores dotted the West Coast during its heyday, attracting shoppers with convenient locations and quality products. However, as the grocery industry evolved, Lucky faced challenges that ultimately led to its acquisition by Albertsons in the late 1990s. Although the Lucky brand still exists in some regions, its original form has largely been absorbed by Albertsons, with the name phased out in many areas. Despite this transformation, Lucky Stores remain nostalgic for many who grew up shopping there. Number 19, Omni Superstore. Omni Superstore, a once prominent hypermarket chain in the Chicago area, etched its presence into the retail landscape before fading away. Founded by Dominic's Finer Foods in 1987, the first Omni Superstore opened its doors in Orland Park, Illinois. Imagine a vast space where groceries, electronics, and household goods converged, a Cub Foods with extra flair. Dominic's aimed to counter the low prices and no-frills approach of Cub Foods, which had stormed the Chicago grocery market. With its stark design and cost-cutting techniques, Omni Superstore became the answer. Over the next decade, 17 more stores sprouted across the Chicago metropolitan area. Yet, despite its initial promise, Omni faced challenges. Consumer preferences shifted, and new competitors emerged like Meijer, Whole Foods, and Walmart, all entering the scene. In 1997, Dominic's phased out Omni, converting the stores to Dominic's branding. The once bustling aisles where shoppers bagged groceries now echo with memories. And number 20, Bohack. Bohack, a once thriving New York grocery chain, etched its legacy into the hearts of 20th century New Yorkers. Founded by Henry C. Bohack in 1887, it flourished across the city's boroughs and Long Island. The first Bohack store opened on Fulton Street in Brooklyn, and soon the iconic red and white signs adorned neighborhoods, beckoning shoppers with promises of quality and community. But what made Bohack special? It wasn't just about groceries, it was about people. Imagine your father, mother, or neighbor working there, the friendly faces behind the counters. Bohack's wasn't merely a store, but a hub for social interaction. Grocery clerks knew their regulars, and store managers understood that community was the secret ingredient. This family-owned chain embodied the spirit of friendly service. Bohack's demise in the late 1970s left a void. Long Islanders reminisced about the aisles and shelves and the laughter shared with familiar faces. The passing of time had claimed a piece of their history, and Bohack's became a cherished memory, a place where groceries met gossip and shopping was a social affair.